So today I'm just going to use the PolyFX tool to explode some text, and it's basically one way of exploding text without using any particle systems or anything. So I'm just going to create my MoGraph text, and I'm just going to go to Object and type Quick PFX. I'm just going to give it some more depth, and I'm going to change the font to I've got the Terminator font, which is quite cool. And caps, I'm just going to add maybe a fillet cap. And I want the fillet type, maybe something a bit more interesting. Oh, circle, say 1 step. Just going to reduce the radius down for that fillet cap. And where it says type, I'm going to choose quadrangles, and I'm going to apply a regular grid. I don't want it too small. Go back to Object, I'm going to add some subdivisions. And also where it says intermediate points, I'm going to choose subdivided. So it's kind of got even segments on all dimensions, roughly kind of even. And I'm just going to render that quickly. Just going to add in a floor. And just have a look in the side view. Just going to drop that slightly below. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply the MoGraph PolyFX tool. And PolyFX doesn't work unless you give it an effector. So I'm just going to give it a random effector to start with. Just going to check that it's been applied. Yep. And I'm going to place PolyFX underneath MoText, make it a child like this. And now the effect is working. I'm going to go to PolyFX fall off, and I'm going to give it linear. I'm going to rotate the linear 90 degrees. And now we can basically control the explosion like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keyframe it quickly. Just put a keyframe on X here, and 1 further down the line there. I'm just going to play it back. So right now it's quite static, doesn't look like much. And I'm just going to move this floor. I'm just going to hide the floor from the viewport. Okay. In random, you can obviously tweak the settings slightly, so I think I might go for more Y, Z, add some rotation so they're not so segments seem a bit small, but the great thing with this is you can keep adjusting the text because it hasn't been collapsed. It's just a MoText object, so we can remove the subdivisions, caps. Let me see. That looks a bit better to me. It looks kind of more. Random, I'm going to adjust the fall off. The fall off is a bit sharp. And actually, sorry, you do it through PolyFX. So I'm just going to soften that fall off a bit. So it kind of breaks up a bit, kind of more gradually. And you can choose a spline function. Inverse square looks a bit better to me. Just makes it a bit more gradual. You can kind of see the shapes, letters shatter or like kind of resist slightly. Now, this is good, but we might want to animate this, and we're going to use a little known effector, which is a time effector, and I'm going to add that into my PolyFX. If you go to PolyFX and effectors, I'm going to add the time effector at the end there, and I'm going to give it some rotation, but not too much. I'm actually more interested in a position here. Might start off with a 12, 12, 12, maybe less for Y. And I'm just going to play this back now with my time effector. And what we've got is it's a cool animated effect now. And I might reduce the random strength. So it's basically a kind of balance an act between random and a time effector now, and we can get some really good results. Let's see. So while this plays, we can tweak it on the fly while the animation is actually playing, which is really cool. It's something unique to Cinema 4D. I think maybe Modo kind of does that as well, but it's just really useful being able to apply settings while the animation plays. Random, mess with scale maybe. Whilst sometimes playing with the min-max kind of can produce some interesting results. So I'm actually quite happy with that. And might rotate. Let's just make bank. Yeah, I want it to rotate kind of lengthwise, so let me see. That's interesting. Not sure if it's the correct rotation. Let's try this. H heading. That's quite cool. Just might add a subdivision in there. So there you go. I mean, that's a quick kind of way of exploding